Hey everyone, this is our first optimization exercise, and as you can read from the assignment, what I want you to do is go through pages 101 to 116 in the textbook and set up the spreadsheet that they show there, that he shows there in the book. And I've just given you an example here. This is basically an exact copy. We have the revenue row here where we're going to try to determine our optimal or maximal revenue. We have our purchase amount here, which is what dictates how many guns and how many tons of butter that we are going to produce in order to achieve this optimal revenue value. And then down here we have a couple of parameters that we've set up. So we have a column for guns. We know that each gun takes 1/2 of a cubic yard or meter for storage, that it costs us $150 to build that, but that we can sell it for $195. Over here on tons of butter, we see that each one takes up 1.5 cubic yards or meters in our storage. We can build it or create the butter for $100. That's what our parts cost us, or our milk and whatever costs us, and then we can sell that for $150. So how many of these can we actually create given our limits, the limit being 21 as far as the size of our warehouse, at $1,800 versus which is the size of our budget? How many is the right number to create for us to maximize the revenue that we get? The best way to do this, and the book shows you exactly how to do this, once you set this up, you'll go ahead and you'll want to use Solver to solve for the optimal value for this particular field, and that's for our revenue field. And what it will do is it will come down here based on what you've set up, and it will look at all your numbers here, and it will give you a value that says, hey, in order for you to be able to do this, you're going to have to be able to do 4 guns, 12 tons of butter, and your maximum or optimal amount of revenue that you're going to be able to receive will be $2,580. And how do we do that? Well, the book walks you through it, but you go over here, assuming that you've downloaded the Solver add-in, and you'll have to do that if you haven't done that, downloaded it and made sure that it is active. You'll hit Data, you come over here to Solver, all the way over here on the right, and Solver brings up this screen. Now this screen has been set up so to match exactly what the book has. You're solving for position B1. Remember, the dollar signs actually make sure that you're always on that one. It doesn't allow it to adjust or change. We're going for the maximum value, and we're going for the maximum value by changing $B, $4, and C4, which are these values here. So we're going to change these values to give us a maximum value here, and it's going to be based on certain constraints. And these are the constraints that we've described down here. Our B4 and C4 have to be integers. Again, talks about that in the book. We can't sell half of a gun. That the value that shows up in E7 must be less than or equal to the value that shows up in D7. Well, here's D7, that's 21, and the value that comes into E7 has to be less than or equal to that. In other words, we can't exceed our warehouse space. Same thing happens with the budget. The value that we have in the budget has to be less than or equal to the value that we have available, or the value that we spend. I'm sorry, the value we spend has to be less than or equal to the value that's in the budget. Once you set that up, you can hit Solve. Make sure you set it to Simplex LP. Hit Solve, and it will give you this value, which you can then either keep or adjust. Now, in the exercise, the second part of the exercise, I ask you to make some changes to this table. And one of the changes I'm going to ask you to make is to envision that, in fact, the price of butter has fallen out or fallen down to 125, which can often happen in a war situation. But you've been pretty successful up until now, so you've been able to increase your budget to 2,400, and you've also been able to acquire twice the warehouse space, so you're able to put that at 42. We're going to go ahead and solve for this. Given everything that we have, we'll go ahead back to Solver, go back to Data, Solver, and we will solve for that. Uh-oh, we have a problem. Remember that my whole identity while behind enemy lines in France is as a farmer. And if I'm producing no butter, I got a problem. But when you look down here, it's more profitable to produce guns. And that's what the optimization has given you. I'm going to let you figure this one out for yourself, but there is a way to go back into Solver and build a constraint that sets your butter value equal to at least 5. If you're producing at least 5 tons of butter, you can probably keep up your front as a farmer. So you're going to have to go ahead and put that constraint in and run this again, and we'll see what you get. So for the first one, follow the directions. In the first part where we were back to 150 here, oops, And these were set to their original values of 21 and 1800. And we solved for that. Go ahead and save this as Guns or Butterguns 1, the name they give you in the instructions, and that'll be the first spreadsheet that you turn in. And then go ahead and make the changes that I talk about in the second part of the assignment. Fix the fact that it's going to give you 0 tons of butter. Save that to Butterguns 2 and turn that also in as your second part of this assignment for this week. Let me know if you have any questions.